Hello and welcome to this video. Here I'm going to address some of the things that people can actually do to help with the situation in Ukraine. Now, lots of people are asking me this and say, well, I'm in Poland now, Ukrainian border is over there, and so sorry, it's not just over there, it's a bit further than just over there, but it's it's here, it's quite nice and peaceful. But people ask me what they can actually do to help, and I mean, there's lots of things that people can do to help, and what I'm going to go through now. And it may seem to be an odd thing to be promoting on a website or a channel which is devoted to van life. But the first thing I'm going to ask you to do, if you can, is not to waste fuel, or rather, if you can avoid it, don't buy fuel. Now, if you look at the other videos on this site, you will notice that 99% of them, probably even more, are using diesel. Diesel comes from crude oil, and 8% of the crude oil circulating outside of Russia comes from Russia. Approximately, Russia contributes approximately, about 8% approximately. So you may be thinking that, okay, I'm in the United States, so there's now a ban on Russian oil products. Yes, there is, but if you use less there, then there's more to be used in other places. So that's if you can. So what does this mean? It means when you go to work, take the bus. When you go to you're visiting your family, take the train. Whatever you can do to actually save using fuel, or walk. You know what? Walk everywhere if you can. That'll be good for you. Now, I know in these arguments that we have with our friends in North America, that they say, well, yeah, okay, North America's got really cheap fuel, but you've got to bear in mind also that their towns and cities in the United States are actually based around the internal combustion engine. It's that people will sort of live in the suburbs, and they live a really long way away from where they work. So this means, I think, that the thing to do is to try to get around it. Maybe you can carpool, whatever. I mean, carpool lanes in the United States, you can go faster and doing things like that. Whatever you can do to not to waste fuel, that I think is the very first thing you can do. Now, for me, give an example. I'm going to be speaking at a conference on van life, and next weekend, but I'm going there. I've got organised hitchhiking, so it's called Blah Blah Car. So and if I hadn't have found such a good lift, I'd have just gone up on the train, and I'm staying at a friend's place there. So that's how I am getting round this one. Even though I live in a van and it'd be more convenient, admittedly a little bit more expensive, of course, to take my own van, but this suits me better. So that's when I'm promoting something like this. So that's number one. Number two thing you can actually do is don't waste food. Now, there are people who believe that the only thing that Russia does is export oil products and criminals. That is not the case. It also exports lots of other things as well, lots of minerals, and for example, nickel, palladium, coal. It's really important. But I would argue that perhaps its most important export after crude oil, or even the first most important export, is wheat. And now with Russia's number one country in the world for wheat export, in Ukraine it's like fourth, fifth, depends on the year. There are countries such as Egypt is the very best example. Egypt uses the equivalent of the entire Ukrainian grain harvest, and it is a major importer. If it can't get grain from Russia because of sanctions in Ukraine, because the Russians have deliberately destroyed the infrastructure, not the Russians, I should say, Putin has destroyed the infrastructure, then where's Egypt going to get? It's not like you can't buy You can't buy a new set of headphones from one shop so you go to the next shop. It's not like that. So this will be a major problem. And I noticed also that there's different types of grain are not are suitable for the type of bread which is grown in, which is eaten in certain countries, and it's not just any grain will do. So that's another thing. I know the Lebanese government, for example, as soon as these problems started happening, then it started looking for alternative supplies. We have not been hit by major food shortages. Of course, there have been famines in many places in the world over the last 40 or 50 years, but I believe that now it is highly likely that next year, and it depends what happens with the harvest for this year, we don't know, but next year there could be very serious food shortages. And so that's one thing. Don't waste food. Don't throw food out. Eat what you need. But well, that is one very positive thing you can do to help other people. Next thing is this: there are many refugees now coming in. There's 1.5 million people in this country. In one district in Warsaw, a friend of mine put up on his Facebook page that the population had increased by 20% in the last 2 weeks. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just repeating what he said, but it gives an idea. That's the district of Wilanów in the south of Warsaw. So I know there's places here which can no longer cope. I've just seen the mayor of Warsaw on CNN who was saying, please help us, we can't, we're really bursting to capacity. In Krakow, there's now people sleeping in the station. Sleeping in the city, they're giving them beds, and I'm sure they're warm and all the rest of it. But all the same, it is a problem. So if you can do anything with refugees in any way, and this doesn't mean just taking people in and into your home, but if you even when you see people who are refugees, then do something to help them, or just by you be smiling, show a little bit of whatever it is, whatever you have to do to be nice to them, do it. And so that's one thing. Make them welcoming in your own communities and things of this nature. I mean, it really is for people. I was at the refugee reception centre, and I saw that people were there with next to nothing. That's it for their entire life. Now, if the children, then okay, that's fair enough. They'll go on and do something else in the future. But if older people, you imagine somebody who is 80 years old and their contents of their entire life are in a small bag, plastic bag. That's it. You can imagine the stress and the horror. So what I think, in part, any human warmth that you can give, that would be great. Now, what about volunteering for things? Yes, if you've got a skill set that could be used, then do use it. Now, I've been thinking that lots of my viewers have motorhomes, as you'd expect on a motorhome channel, and there aren't places. Obviously, friends in America can't just drive here, but the majority of people who view this are in Europe, and could they come here to Poland, for example, and help? Now, I cannot think of a way at present, but if I can, I'll put a video up about it. But if anybody's got any ideas, what can you do? What skills have you got that would be useful? Now, I do appreciate what we need. The first thing is there's a language problem. The amount of people who speak Ukrainian isn't very large. I mean, okay, if most people in Ukraine, in my experience, everybody in Ukraine speaks Russian. But if anybody can do anything like that, that is also very helpful. So another couple of may appear to be less important points, but I do want to say them. Show support on social media for those people who are supporting Ukraine. Unfortunately, there's a whole army of not just Putin trolls, but this usual type of sadists who take fun in laughing at other people's misfortunes. So actually show support. That's important. Sorry, I hope the wind isn't too strong. I'll hold this up here. So I think that really is important. And another thing, finally, I do want to say to people is this: do not take this out on Russians. This is the responsibility of Putin. It's the responsibility of the fascist dictatorship. So anybody who believes in fascist dictatorships, yes, you take it out on them, but don't take it out on normal Russians. There are now thousands of Russians. I mean, I know that it's nothing compared to the hundreds of thousands of now nearly 2 million Ukrainians who've left. But there are thousands of Russians who have got out of the country, who've left the country, and nobody's helping them. And not only that, they may have had the resources to get out, but they couldn't, because of sanctions, they couldn't get the money out. So bear that in mind as well. There is resistance. There's some incredibly brave people in Russia who are fighting fascism, and they also need our support and our care. So I would like that as well. Okay, look, if there's anybody got any other ideas of assistance, what can you do? Oh, sorry, I nearly forgot. A number of people have asked if about donations. Can I recommend? I can't really say. I've got a friend who's got a foundation is doing help, but any foundation, any charity is good. I've also had some generous people offer to send me money. No, you can't send me money. The reason for this is, in the first place, I'll have to pay tax on it, and the second use of it, you can't get your tax back from it. So don't send it to me, but do send it to a proper charity. So I hope that was clear, and if you've got any other ideas, do write it down, and bear in mind we are motorhomers. We've got these motorhomes, and is there any way we could use that? I just don't see very clearly what we can do at present, but if you've got ideas, say them. Thanks for watching.